Manchester City Football Club, eh? What a club. What a club. Hi guys, it's Harry from Man City Fan TV, back for my player ratings after Manchester City booked their place at Wembley for the third time this season after beating Swansea City at the Liberty Stadium by 3-2. Woof. I mean, you won't sum up Manchester City. If you wanted to sum up Manchester City in 90 minutes, that is Manchester City in a nutshell. Going 2-0 down, bringing it back, fighting till the end, and getting through. What a game, what a roller coaster of emotions. And I'm going to give you my player ratings. Despite all the highs of a brilliant comeback, what we can't forget is that it was a poor performance from some players in particular, and a poor performance pretty much collectively as a team. We were at the races for at least 65 minutes of that game, and if we're going to be competing on all three fronts still, especially in the Premier League and the Champions League, we're going to have to be at our flowing best to beat some of the teams that are still got left to play in the Premier League and the teams that we're going to be facing in the Champions League. We've got to play better than that. There was obviously a few players, key players that didn't play. Of course, Raheem Sterling and Sergio Aguero came on from the game, but they didn't start the game. You've got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne are still injured, Benjamin Mendy, although if you want to argue Alexander Zinchenko's our main left back at the moment, I really wouldn't argue with you in the slightest. He's been brilliant, obviously. I'll go on to talk about Zinchenko when I come on to his rating. But yeah, not a really classic Manchester City performance, but we've got through to the semi-finals and we're going to Wembley once again. You know, what can you say? What can you say? Anyway, let's get into it. First off, I'm going to start with our goalkeeper, Edison. And the way I do my player ratings, I might not have mentioned this before actually, that I start on a 6. 6 is an average score. You've not done anything, but you've not done anything wrong, and then I build up or down from there. So starting with Edison in net, I was surprised Muric didn't start in this game, but Pep's tends to have favoured Edison for these FA Cup games this season, which shows that Pep does really want to win it. We've not won the competition since 2011, and currently, as I'm speaking, Millwall are beating Brighton, and Watford and Wolves are the other teams left in it. Thank you, Wolves, by the way, for knocking out Man United last night. That was brilliant, wasn't it? That was brilliant. What a day yesterday was. So yeah, Edison, nothing really to do. He couldn't really do anything in the goals. The second one was a brilliant finish by Burst and Selena, and the first one was a penalty. So Edison for me 6, very average performance. Didn't do anything wrong. His footwork was good. He never lost the ball. His passing was good. His distribution was good, but didn't really have a save to make. So yeah, 6 for Edison. Moving on to one of the players who I think had a very, very bad game yesterday, Fabian Delph at left back. Maybe a lot of people were being very reactionary with Delph. I was certainly one of them that was being very reactionary with him. I'm going to give Fabian Delph a generous 3. It was abysmal from Delph yesterday. I'm going to give you both sides of the argument though, because first of all, from my side, I thought Delph was poor, and he's been poor consistently playing for us this season. He was absolutely magnificent and pretty much faultless last season, stepping in for Benjamin Mendy. But I don't know what's happened to him this season. Maybe opposition teams have looked at that and found him out when he's played, or just maybe he's not up to standard expected. But he dived in for that penalty when I really don't think it was needed. I think Laporte was behind him and could have maybe easily have cleaned up. But even so, it was a goal scoring opportunity, but it wasn't a clear goal scoring opportunity. And he was really on the stretch. I don't think the ball was there to be won personally. And I think just in general after that, Delph's performance kind of screamed that he was losing his confidence. He was trying to do things that were too complicated, passing the ball maybe a bit too far, or his passes were a bit too short. So I don't want to completely go in on Delph, because I think he can be a good utility player for us. And of course, the argument against that is he's not had any game time whatsoever. So not having any game time means he could suffer from he couldn't find his rhythm, is what I'm trying to say. That's the counter argument to that. But for no, Fabian Delph, the very generous free, it was a very poor performance before obviously being subbed for Alexander Zinchenko later in the game. Moving on to the right back, Kyle Walker, and might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I don't think Kyle Walker was too bad yesterday. I think there's a couple of times where the strikers were at fault for a couple of Kyle Walker's crosses, because there's a few times yesterday, and I'm starting to see this a lot more recently with Kyle. He's getting down the right and he's playing the ball across the ground rather than chipping it in. And a few of his deliveries, I think, are improving, and you can see it game by game. He's taking more risks by running into the channels and overlapping a lot more than he has been doing. And I think that might be due to Alexander Zinchenko in the team. The fact that Alexander Zinchenko can just go forward. With Fabian Delph, he would just have to defend, and Kyle Walker suffered from that for just having to defend. But now Zinchenko can go forward. I think Pep's allowed Walker a lot more freedom, and I've seen an improvement in his performances. It was average yesterday, so I'm going to give Walker a 6 as well. But I do think he's improving. I don't think he was as bad as he has been this season. But yeah, definitely an upturn in form for Kyle Walker for me. Moving on to our centre-back pairing. First of all, I'm going to start with Nicholas Otamendi. The general yesterday, I found it very tough to mark Otamendi because I'm stuck between 6 and 5. I think I'm just going to opt for 5 because I think there's two types of performance with Nicholas Otamendi. He can be very assured and he can be brilliant. Well, then there's also that side to Otamendi where he's very rash, and I think we saw a bit more of the rash Otamendi yesterday. I think he struggled against Selena, especially. Daniel James as well caused him a few problems. But when Otamendi's good, is when he stands off players and waits for the right time to tackle instead of just diving in. But yesterday I felt like he dived in too early or too late. He gave away a few fouls. He was booked just before half time as well. I don't think he was particularly awful yesterday. None of the goals were his fault. But I just think he was a bit too rash in his tackle in particular, so I'm going to give him a 5. Aymeric Laporte on the other side has just come back from injury. And he's a decent performance from Laporte yesterday. Nothing wrong with what he was doing. Maybe I'm a bit unfair giving Laporte a 6 and Otamendi a 5, considering they both conceded 2 goals. But I think Laporte's passing, especially going into midfield, helped us a lot, especially when we were counter-attacking. And his defending was assured. He dealt with the lad when he came on, what was his name? Ayoso, I'm hoping pronouncing that right, for Swansea when he came on quite well, because he looked to expose a bit of space in between Zinchenko and Laporte, because Zinchenko was pushing forward, and I thought Laporte dealt with him quite well. He didn't give him any space to run at him and closed him down as soon as he got the ball. So yeah, 6 for me for Aymeric Laporte. Moving on to midfield, and at the number 8 position yesterday was Gundogan, who's been absolutely brilliant in recent weeks. But yesterday I think we saw the bad side of Ilkay Gundogan. I actually told Andy this on Twitter at half time yesterday. Gundogan is brilliant going forward, and his chip balls cause havoc for any team in Europe. But his defensive work rate for me is not up to standard, and he's not any criticism of Ilkay Gundogan, because I don't think he's that sort of player. I think this is why we miss Fernandinho. Fernandinho tracks Bertrand Selena's run there, and we don't concede the second goal if Fernandinho's in there. For me, simple as that. You could see with Gundogan, he saw Selena run off him and he was jogging back. He wasn't trying to bust a gut to get back and help defending, which Fernandinho does on a regular basis. So I'm going to give Ilkay Gundogan a 5 for his performance yesterday, just purely for that goal. He did contribute in other ways throughout the game. His passing in the final third wasn't amazing. It wasn't rubbish either. But just for that, I think his defensive work rate yesterday is what cost us particularly the second goal. So we did see a bit of the bad side of Ilkay Gundogan in that position yesterday. Of course, there's a lot of good sides as well, and you can't fault him for filling in Fernandinho's absence. So yeah, a 5 for me for Ilkay Gundogan, but he will have better games for sure. Moving on to the 2 in midfield. Personally, I was very, very disappointed Foden didn't start this game. I really think he could have made a difference, personally. But the 2 that he started with was the 2 Silvers, Bernardo and David. Let's start off on a negative. David Silva. I'm really, really concerned that we're seeing the beginning of the end of David Silva, and it might be me being very pessimistic, but David Silva's performances since the turn of the year have been nothing short of disappointing. I think I spoke to someone on the phone yesterday, and I think what we marvel at with David Silva is his ability to play that ball in between the fullback and the centre back to the onrushing Leroy Sané, Riyad Mahrez, Raheem Sterling, whoever's in that position, Bernardo Silva. But I think his timing of his balls it's been off since the start of the year. They're either too short, so they're playing behind the man. They're either playing too far in front, so he can't get a run in the box. I think one of them in particular, it was such a minor detail of the game, but it could have been very important. We're on the counter-attack, and he goes to play in Riyad Mahrez, who eventually, I think he plays in Gabriel Jesus. But the ball to Riyad Mahrez is behind him, so Riyad Mahrez has to adjust his run, take it on his left foot, push it forward, which allows the defender a bit of time to get back. Maybe I'm being very picky with David. He has had a few decent games this year, days where I'm thinking, alright, he might be getting back into his groove, but overall I think he's been very disappointing. And I know a lot of people might rinse me for that in the comments, and let me know if you disagree, because personally I just don't think he's been in form. Nothing against David, he's 33 years old and he's playing a lot of games with Kevin De Bruyne injured. But Yeah, a 5 for me for David Silva yesterday. Really not good again, but I'm sure El Margo will prove me wrong in a couple of weeks' time when we play Fulham and he'll bang in two and get the assist of his life, and I hope he does because he is one of the greatest ever to pull on a Manchester City shirt. Moving on to the absolute light of my life at the moment, the lad I've got on the back of the shirt, you probably can't see it, but Bernardo Silva, absolutely exceptional from him again yesterday. I mean, him and Raheem Sterling for our Player of the Year, neck and neck at the moment for me. So that means he must be in the running for the Premier League Player of the Year. His influence on the game is outstanding, and not just because he scored an absolute beauty. He scored our first goal. Sergio Aguero's shot that was deflected came back to Aguero, who set it up for Bernardo Silva, and beautifully with the outside of his left foot curled it past Nordveit, I think it's pronounced, the Swansea keeper, who was having an outstanding game, which shows just the quality of the finish. But he's all round play. He's just tremendous. I've never seen. Maybe I'm not paying attention. I've not seen Bernardo Silva ever lose the ball in the last couple of weeks. He always picks the right option. He always creates something when he's on the ball, and he's a very exciting player. And you know, I think he's 24 years old. He's going to be here for ages. He's just signed a new contract in the week as well, which I'm buzzing about. And I'm really excited with the future of Bernardo Silva at the club. He's just a bundle of positive energy. There's a picture yesterday of the reaction to the first goal, his reaction to the third goal. He's just future captain material. He really is. And I'm excited for Bernardo. And for me, he was my man of the match yesterday. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. And moving on to our front three. Who do I start with on our front three? Let's start with Mr. Riyad Mahrez. A big debate on Riyad, of course. Record signing. There's always a big debate on Riyad Mahrez's performance every game. And yesterday wasn't one of his good days. I think in the last couple of games, Riyad Mahrez has been improving as a player at Manchester City. I think his performances have been better. He scored the winner, obviously, against Bournemouth away. I thought he was good against Watford when he played. He got the assist for Raheem Sterling's second goal, but I thought in general his play was really good. Yesterday was one of his bad days. He didn't really get much to do, but when he did get the ball, he doesn't look like he's going to create anything. Just like I said before about Bernardo Silva, you feel when every time he gets on the ball, something's going to happen. Just like how you feel with Kevin De Bruyne when he gets the ball. Same with Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling. Every time they get on the ball, you feel like they're going to do something. At the moment, it's not the case with Mahrez, and it's very confusing. A former PFA Player of the Year, he's sublimely talented footballer. It's just not happening for him at the moment. I think he's gonna. I really don't know what to say. He's obviously not going to be replaced at the end of the season. Let's get that in now. He's 60 million. He's our record signing. We spent too much money on him to just flog him off like that. So he's going to get another year, and hopefully, I'm hoping he's just going to grow into the team. But yesterday, based on yesterday's performance, Riyad Mahrez 5 out of 10. Not good from him, but I'm praying, please Riyad, please improve, please improve. Moving on to the other side, Leroy Sané started off the left. Yeah, bit of a confusing performance from Leroy Sané. It looked like he was injured after the first 10 minutes. He was holding his hip, so I don't know if this player played a part in his performance. But if we're holding Riyad Mahrez to a bit of a low standard, you've got to give Leroy Sané a 5 as well for me. He created actually a magnificent chance by himself, and it's shown what Leroy Sané can do. Around 10 minutes, he made the left back and had a shot on goal, and the keeper, of course, made a save. But apart from that, he was very wide, and he didn't really get involved in the game as much as he normally does. And when he did get the ball, it was just simple passes off and stuff. But just because you need him to have an influence on the game, that's why I'm giving him a 5 out of 10. Moving on to the central striker, and Gabriel Jesus came in place of Sergio Aguero, the league's top goal scorer, to give him a bit of a rest. Right, Gabriel Jesus' performance, how do you sum it up? I think I can sum it up in one word: offside. I don't know, I've never known a game where Gabriel Jesus is not the player who's been offside the most. His runs are either a bit too early or a bit too late. Obviously that influences is influenced by other players as well, playing the ball too late or the ball too early for Gabriel to run onto. But sometimes I think he doesn't need to make that run. Sometimes he just has to wait for the right opportunity, and the ball will be perfect for him to run onto, especially from Bernardo Silva, especially normally from David Silva. The ball is going to be perfect for you to run onto, and Sergio Aguero's gotten used to that. Gabriel Jesus not so much. I'm a big fan of Gabriel Jesus, and I've been a big fan of Gabriel Jesus, and I think he's going to be a brilliant striker for years to come at City. But when he doesn't have his rhythm of games, he's not as influential as Sergio is. And that's no, as again, as I said before, no dig at Gabriel. He's not got a run of games. He's been out of the team for a while, obviously because Sergio has been firing. But he needs a run of games to get into his. As we saw when he got a run of games when Aguero picked up that little knock, he was sublime and he was scoring goals. I mean, in 2019 he scored loads, and I mean he got on the score sheet in the Schalke game as well when he came on. But he needs a run of games to get into his rhythm, find his runs, find his pace, find his skill, his little Brazilian flair that he's got. But Gabby again yesterday, I think I've given a lot of people fives, but I'm going to give him a five as well because he weren't influential on the game when we really needed our striker to. And when we go on to Sergio Aguero, you really would understand why. But I think the whole front three deserve a five because it was a very below par performance from the three that started up front. We're on to the subs, and I'm going to give them all a rating. I think this is the first time Pep Guardiola's made subs as early as he has done, and it really, really did need it. Starting off with Alexander Zinchenko. Honestly, this lad, what has happened to him? He's brilliant. He's just brilliant. And what if Alexander Zinchenko could be our left back next year? What if? I just don't know what to say about him. He's just sublime. He really is. And he's not your typical player that you'd expect, like Sergio, Sterling, Leroy, Riyad, David, Bernardo, to be brilliant as he is. He just is. He's just fitted in and he's done what's needed. And you could see yesterday it was a massive upgrade when he came on for Delph. Delph's a 30-year-old that's been in the Premier League much longer than Zinchenko, a lot longer than all the squad. And as soon as Zinchenko came on, there was a lot more calmness about the play. There's a lot more calmness with him on the ball. The players that were playing off the right on Swansea that was creating chances all game. I mean, Daniel James, I think, actually swapped wings to go onto Kyle Walker's side because Zinchenko was dealing with him well. And he was a lot more positive. I mean, Delph, because he's not got the correct attacking attributes, as I mentioned before, he sat back, whereas Zinchenko could go forward. I think that really benefited Bernardo, for one, on his side, because Bernardo kind of shifted out wide when Leroy Sané and Riyad Mahrez both went off. So Alexander Zinchenko for me, I mean, as I said, he set the basis at 6, 7 for Zinchenko. Absolutely brilliant when he came on, and you just can't drop him at the moment. He's simply undroppable. Huff, well, the love of my life, Mr. Sergio Aguero. Simply for me, I put it on Twitter yesterday. The greatest to ever wear the City shirt for me. He's just. How many times has he done that for us now? It's countless times. I can think of about 17, 18, 19, 20 different examples where he came on and has single-handedly won us the game. Okay, we got a bit of luck yesterday. His goal was offside. I'm still not convinced that the penalty wasn't a penalty. I can see why it wouldn't have been given, but I can also see why it would have been given. So we got slice of luck yesterday. But Sergio Aguero, when he came on, just his presence, I felt, changed the game. And he got a goal. I mean, he was a bit lucky with his penalty. He got the winner, and his penalty came off the back of the defender. But he also, he got an assist. Actually, he assisted Bernardo Silva as well. I just simply have run out of superlatives to describe him. And I remember there was a season a couple of years ago under Manuel Pellegrini where we wasn't playing well, and Sergio Aguero literally carried us on his back. And just another example yesterday of why he's just so brilliant. And it's actually a crime how he's never won an individual award while he's been in England. And he probably won't. I mean, you look at the running for this year's Player of the Year, you've got Virgil van Dijk of Liverpool and Raheem Sterling, who you'd expect to be the top two, Bernardo Silva as well, Eden Hazard. Yeah, I mean, you can go on for a while, Sadio Mane. But Sergio Aguero won't be up there, and it's such a shame because he is magnificent. And for me, he'd win our Player of the Year every single year if I chose it. But yeah, Sergio Aguero, 7 out of 10 yesterday. No, not 7 out of 10 actually, an 8 out of 10. Magnificent when he came on. Moving on to Raheem Sterling, the man on fire this season. Raheem Sterling, 7 out of 10. The average, the benchmark, as I said, is 6, 7 because he won the penalty, and he was just a lot more direct than Riyad Mahrez was when he came on. So Raheem Sterling yesterday just showing how dependent we are on him sometimes, but also what a brilliant footballer he is. So yeah, Raheem Sterling, 8 out of 10 for me. 8 out of 10, sorry, 7 out of 10. Let's not go that high. So let's wrap this up now. As I said, it wasn't a vintage Manchester City performance. It wasn't absolutely splendid, attacking, free-flowing football, but we're getting the job done. And when it gets to this time of the season, you take it by game, and it doesn't matter the result as long as you get the 3 points or the win in a cup competition. So we put to another semi-final place at Wembley. I'm sure all of us down at Man City Fan TV will be down there, no matter who we get. We can either get Watford or Wolves, or we can get Millwall or Brighton. And no, as of now, that's just gone to extra time. It was 2-2. I mean, Millwall were 2-0 up, so they'll be a bit devastated about that. So we'll see if we get in the draw. I think Andy might have already done a live stream by the time this goes out on who we've got. And also, Andy did do a player ratings show yesterday, so make sure you go and check that out already on the channel. He's doing a lot of live stuff, and so is Ray, who made it down to Swansea, and you could tell by his voice in that video had a brilliant day. I'm sure it was brilliant away and down there yesterday. So yeah, lots more coming your way, of course, on Man City Fan TV. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you on my next video.
At Man City Fan TV, we're really pleased to promote this wonderful sketchwork, artwork by a lady called Leslie Ross. You can follow Leslie on Twitter at 111Leslie111, and also follow her on Facebook and Twitter at 9320art.